This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, as the name of the segment. And today I have AJ Cassata, which he is the co-founder of Revenue Boost. And I'm going to let him tell you more about that. But first, AJ, how are you?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to come here. I know we've been connected for, I don't even know, over a year for sure, because I know I met you a couple months in, like through Kelly. Kelly already came to the podcast and did a great job. So I'm excited to hear from you, because I know, like, sales and just increasing revenue in general is what you do. So I wanna hear more about you. But first, give the audience a quick introduction, what you do and why.
Yeah, for sure. So what I'm most focused on now is building Revenue Boost, and Revenue Boost is basically a consulting company that specializes in boosting revenue. But really, we help small B2B service-based businesses and digital agencies with nailing their lead generation, appointment setting, and sales process. So yeah, we solve a pretty specific challenge for a specific niche. And I've spent my whole career really in sales around different roles. Really just for the last 10 years or so. And along the way, I realized that, like, a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of small business owners, they start their business because they're really good at their craft, their product, their service, their fulfillment, but no one's really taught them how to sell or how to get leads and how to do that consistently and predictably. So since that was always kind of my jam, I just figured, let me help others with the same thing, because so many business owners just don't really have a process for that,
Yeah, I heard this a lot. Some people, and there's all kinds of different things in the industry world that I've seen. Like, I've seen people that had the fulfillment but can't sell, or don't know how to do that consistent lead flow. And I think that's like where the bulk of it is, because majority of people have an expertise that they can monetize. It's just the selling part. And then there's the other side of, like, oh, I can sell, but, like, fulfillment is not the thing that I'm focusing on, because I'm just focusing on sales. So it's cool that you bring it in. It's like, look, I've been doing sales for 10 years or so, and now, like, through all my experiences, you're bringing it here. And I know that you focus on ethical sales, not trying to push anybody, just making sure that it's a good fit. So I really like that from you.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, definitely. So the reason that you started this was because you saw people like lagging like that, like, damn, like, I have something good and I want to do sales. So, like, throughout, like, this journey, I'm guessing that you have learned so much. So do you have any advice or tips for either business owners in general, or like your target market, or maybe an advice that you would like to give your younger self before starting this journey?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, man. There's so much. It's been a long journey for sure, but I'll give two tips. One actually related to the kind of the contents of what we do and around sales, and then one maybe a personal one. But yeah, I think one thing, and which is what I see every day with business owners and agency owners that I talk to, is like really, really embracing, sales and marketing, and just learning to focus on it, and learning to just realizing that, like, you are always in sales as an entrepreneur. Even if you have a sales team, you should always be the biggest promoter and the biggest salesperson for your business, I think especially in the beginning stages, maybe when a business is still doing just, 6 figures or multiple 6 figures a year, they should spend a good chunk of every single day just focus on something sales related, having conversations, prospecting, doing meetings, following up. So, the thing about sales is, even if you're not great at it, you can still, bring clients in just by putting the work in. It's something that you just have to kind of put energy in. And when you just stir the pot enough and put enough activity in, you will get clients. But I think a lot of times, especially with small business owners, they spend so much time on things that, like, aren't sales, and they get distracted with all these things that don't really matter that much. And they're just kind of averse to doing sales. So I think really just make it like a top priority, again, especially when the business is just doing, 6 figures a year, there's, nothing that really matters more than actually just getting clients in and serving those clients, right? We can't get distracted with all these other things. So I would just say make sales a priority. Don't worry if you feel introverted or you feel you're not great at sales. Just spend the time doing it, spend the time honing the craft. And no matter what level you're at, you're always going to have to be the best salesperson for your business, you know, so take it seriously and be consistent with it. And my personal tip, you know, my non-business or sales related tip would be just realizing that like things take time and things take longer than you think. So this has been a big lesson for me, you know, especially, I don't know about you, but when I first became an entrepreneur, I was like, okay, I got to make $1 million or I got to make 100K a month, like ASAP, right? We always come in with these huge goals and put all this pressure on ourselves. But, you know, along the way, I realized that what matters more is like actually hitting the goal. Doesn't matter when you get it. You know, if you could have everything you ever wanted and it took you 10 years, you would take that deal, right? So I think like not putting so much pressure to make things happen fast, because I went through the process of doing things too fast and growing too fast in a business, and it actually isn't the way to go. It's better to grow sustainably, consistently. So I think, yeah, you know, I've started to come to a place of just doing what I got to do on a day-to-day basis to grow my business, and just knowing that like eventually I'll get there, but not putting so much pressure on when it has to happen. And that's been a great way for me to manage like the stress, you know, of running a business and just be more chill about the whole thing. But also approach the work better because it's more focused on building something that's going to last rather than just trying to like hustle and make all this money, you know? So just realize that you're probably building a business because you want to do it for a long time, right? Like ideally your business is still around in 5, 10, 20 years. So just kind of acting like that, you know, and being patient with it all.
That's a very key word that I like to emphasize a lot, because I have to repeat it to myself every day. So
yeah,
patience,
for sure.
patience.
Oh, constantly. Yeah.
And it's like you said, I can relate a lot of wanting to grow so fast as possible and doing all these things, but really where the real money is and having something sustainable is on the focus and doing it right instead of just prioritizing quantity over quality. So
yeah, 100%.
that's a very important thing that very important point that you brought in. And another thing that you mentioned was the like being in sales. It doesn't matter what you do. That's something that I think I've said at least in half of the podcast because nice. it's something that get used to it, audience. You know, get used to it. You're gonna hear it all the time. Everybody will talk about sales because it doesn't matter what you do. Sales is what, you know, cash flow is what makes a business a real business. If you don't have cash flow, then you have an expensive hobby, right? It's not it's not a real business. So I really like that you emphasize a lot on sales. Doesn't matter what you do, and that's something that I'm gonna keep saying all the time. And then patience, just be patient and just put goals that are achievable. And yes, you have the 100K, million, whatever goal that you want to do a month or a year, but don't be like, I need it like, oh, in 3 months and 90 days I'll be rich. No, like, even though we want to be like, oh, we're cooking all this stuff in 90 days I'll be rich, like sometimes we got to be like, look, that's what I'm aiming for. We aim for the stars, right? Like, because something can happen, you can be into something different and pops. But if it doesn't happen, just make sure that you are keeping yourself like realistically motivated and be like, look, this is fine. I met this smaller goal anyway, so let's just keep pushing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think I'm just trying to judge myself on like, am I moving in the right direction? You know, so rather than thinking like, oh my God, did I achieve this crazy huge goal this month? You know, it's just looking at more like, am I improving just a little bit each day, or are we moving a little bit forward in the direction each day? And that can look a lot of different ways. Even if you have like a not great month of revenue, but you've improved things with your product or your customer experience or something, like there's always wins happening, you know? And I think, yeah, that's key to keeping a positive mindset, which you have to have if you're going to not be burned out in the long term and still be enthusiastic, you know? So yeah, it's just all about progress. Not so much about smashing like crazy numbers every single month, or again, trying to get rich in 90 days.
That's something that, you know, I know it resonates with most entrepreneurs, especially they're starting out. So thank you for that. And my next question is, do you have a challenge that could have been when you were starting, or maybe it was just as recent as yesterday, that you learned something from it and you think it's worth sharing with the audience?
Yeah, I think I've definitely made all the mistakes in the book. Definitely made the mistake of doing too much at once. You know, my current business, Revenue Boost, has done the best and done much better than all the previous ones because it was just the one that I focused on for the longest. And said no to everything else. But definitely back in the beginning, I was like, get one thing working and then just try like 3 other side projects because I had all these ideas, right? And then everything just falls and crumbles apart. So yeah, I think finding something that, again, back to the long game, you can really know, like, okay, I want to commit to this, I want to see this through for the next 5, 10, 15 years. I could see myself doing it, and then just going after it, so focus is key. And then I think also, so when we started Revenue Boost, we had huge growth in the first few months. We actually crossed like $50,000 in revenue. And I think it was just our 4th month of being in business. And I thought like, okay, great, we'll cross 100 and 200, like right in the first, the first year. But we actually crashed after that, and we didn't sustain like that same growth we were having. And it kind of relates to what I was talking about before about going too fast. So I actually think it would have been better if we slowed down a little bit more. Like we basically just reinvested everything into like more marketing and more sales, and started doing all these different, marketing and content projects. And it was just a little bit too much, where I think the better focus would have been just stepping back to really work on our systems more. Probably at that point, it would have been better to bring in like a manager or an operator, because I'm not really an operations person so much. But yeah, just realizing that it's not like, even as important as it is to keep pushing sales, it's not all just about sales and pushing growth. And also not so much about doing a million new things, So I think we would have sustained our growth better if we just did a lot more of what got us there in the first place, rather than like, okay, we have all this growth, we have all this extra cash flow, let's reinvest in a million different marketing things. And it just kind of made us too scattered, So I think, yeah, just keeping things really simple when growing the business, and not getting too ahead of yourselves.
Perfect. That's great advice, because this could be something that people are listening to right now, and then they can see like great success, and maybe hopefully, right, they remember like, AJ told me like, don't get distracted with too many things. This is working. Let's just keep doing this thing, make sure that this is perfectly repeatable, and then from there assign like percentage. Like that's what I would say. It's like just assign the small things, test things out, prove it. Not like, okay, I'm gonna go paid ads, I'm gonna go like full on like every single channel as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you get so excited, for sure. And that's what I did. But it just put like anytime you do something new, it takes energy to get it working, right? And it's way easier to actually, like, you get more return out of your time if you just make something that's already working a little bit better, or scale up more, So I think, yeah, it's easy to get so distracted by all the 200 different marketing strategies out there, but you got to just kind of keep it simple. And I know I'm a big fan of Alex Hormozi's stuff and his content, and he always talks about like, you just have to do the boring stuff, and get really good at it for a long time. It's not always about like trying new and exciting things.
Yeah, I'm huge fan of him. I think most entrepreneurs like our age and stuff, like Hormozi is becoming like this huge
Legend.
thing. So I mean, and it's not just because like he's not flashy or anything. He just drops bombs. Like he just says things that are like thought provoking, and like you're like aha moments in like 60 seconds or less. A lot of times he's just on point. And I really admire him because of like his work ethic, and the way that he doesn't care, and he just gets the job done. That's it. Doesn't care how he looks. Like he does videos with like things in his nails, a wife beater. I don't know if that's the correct term for it, but that's what Americans have taught me. So blame you guys just because of taught me that's a common wife beater, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. That name is kind of like messed up, but
I never really thought about that.
Right?
I wonder why do they call it that?
Yeah, I mean, it came from somewhere. But anyway, let's just not talk about white beaters anymore. It's just a fashion thing for more mossy. But I really like. I think I'm very similar to you, and I think that's what we resonate a lot. Like, and we're more like sales visionary and stuff, not like doing the operations and just mastering that, like what some people call like the mundane, the daily operations, the things that you're not actually like passionate about. It's more like the things that you have to do so you can be better at what you're passionate about. Those are the things that really separates the people that stay in business and the people that don't, because it's just the discipline of doing those things that you're not passionate about, and being able to bring in the right people and attract the right people to be either part of your team or contractors or help. So to be able to master those things, because good ideas, everybody has good ideas. It's about the application, the discipline, and to have the passion to not quit when things get hard. So That's my
100%, man. 100%, dude. That's what it's all about. Yeah, an idea doesn't really have any value until it's actually put into action. But yeah, I think people like us just need other people around us that can help implement it, right? I feel like there's either people that are creators or implementers, and it's probably a spectrum. People are somewhere in between, but yeah, it's kind of about surrounding yourself with people that do the things that you suck at.
Exactly. It's a matchmaking process. It's just finding who matches with you, that you can provide value to them and they provide value to you, and they're good at what you don't want to do. And right. So that's one of the biggest challenges of any business owner. One of the biggest challenges that I'm going through, just being able to build the right team, while also growing the business, like on things that are just depending on me, and then handout stuff, all those different things, of having a high performing team and being able to balance things out. That's where I'm at right now. Like I have 5 team members, and we're trying to like have them all be high performance and high performers, and being able to just keep scaling up without letting anything crash, right? Like it's like not just keep adding things, it's like adding and keeping, right? The team, the clients and all that. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, man, it's a big balancing act for sure.
So before like kind of wrapping this up, is there anything that you would like to emphasize, any takeaways from this conversation, or things that you maybe didn't mention that you want to leave the audience with before wrapping this up?
I think really just emphasizing what I was talking earlier about the importance of sales. And I know it sounds like, and obviously like, yeah, we should definitely focus on sales. We know it, but most people really just don't, like you really just got to do something every day to kind of, push the growth and push the sales forward. And it's really like building a habit, building a muscle of, prospecting and following up and networking and building new relationships. But yeah, I would really just encourage every entrepreneur watching this, no matter what you're doing, what you're selling, to really, really focus on building those skills as much as possible. Because once you can really get good at marketing and selling, you can make any business work. And it's a pretty powerful skill to have, in the beginning, that's what it's more about, like a lot of this other stuff, like operations and like leadership and finance, like all that stuff matters, but it doesn't really matter that much until like later, like if you have a 3-person team, you don't need to become like an operational guru, so I think especially for the beginning stages for small businesses, it's really just about learning to crush sales and just embracing it, even if you feel like you're not naturally a salesperson,
Yeah. So 2 things for that got me thinking is, first, get the money so you can then create the problems, right? Don't be like, oh my God, but what if I get a client? And then like as soon as you can fulfill and you're being honest with yourself, like the operations and minutia of things are things that you can just figure out. And then when you have money solves problems. So, and I'm not saying go scam people for money and then try to solve problems. It's more like, be honest, figure out that one thing or that is your service that you can fulfill. Go get it. And then when you have to solve like operation problems, just solve them as you go. And especially if you have money and now you put that pressure on you'll figure out those things, because they're usually very simple. And even if you don't know the answer, at least surround yourself with people that when you have a problem, you can go and ask and be like, hey, I got this thing, just kind of point me in the right direction. So that way you can help that. And that's easy. We're just being part of communities. There's Facebook groups like AJ or mine, or like all kinds of different groups that you can find people that will help you with that. So that's what I want to leave people with today.
Nice.
So
definitely did.
I know there's gonna be people like, hey, I wanna know more about Revenue Boost and what you guys do. So what are the easiest keywords or links for people to find you?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm definitely active on social media, so you can find me on LinkedIn, AJ Cassata, CASSATA. But also, best place would be to come to our Facebook group. We have a Facebook community that's free called B2B Sales and Marketing Secrets. We drop a lot of great knowledge bombs in there, expert interviews, content like, a couple times a week on generating more leads, getting more appointments, closing more deals, just the whole B2B sales process. Plus, we have a free mini course in there too on how to use LinkedIn and email to scale up your lead gen. So a lot of cool stuff in there. And I'm pretty active in there. So it's a great place to connect with me. But also you can check us out at revenueboost.net.
Perfect. Revenueboost.net. Pretty simple. And, I want to have the links in the description, but, it's always good to say it just in case somebody's listening to it and didn't get to the link. And so that way that it gets in their subconscious, right? So Thanks for taking the time to have here. It was a pleasant conversation like always. I always like talking to you. We always laugh and we end up talking about some weird stuff. Like this time it was, I guess it was the wife beater tangent. That's well, then, I don't know. We just find ways to do that, but it's cool. You know, I always have a good time. This was good. I know that we're gonna have some value in here, and yeah, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, really appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure as always.
So this is AJ and Foo signing off.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.